Well, we know what Guy Fawkes did. Quoting Guy Fawkes, blow up the fence, blow up this and that, and that's really, really, really emotions that did not need to be expressed in that particular environment because with all the efforts made to get the ships back, with all the challenges in this very competitive industry, you can't have people going down there, we can pull down the fence and we can blow up this and that and that. That's totally, totally wrong. And I think it needs to be addressed. Every one of us, at varying degrees, have been going through some hard times, some rough times. And of course, we will emote anger, but you have to be careful where and how. Because from the slightest infringement or incident can cause us to be in a very negative. We know some time ago, ships sailed from Antigua because of a negative incident. They were wrong, the passengers were wrong, but they sailed. It happened here too. So, okay, let me take this call before I get back to that. Caller, you live on Voices. Thanks for joining the program.
Thanks for having me, the King.
Sir.
Morning. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad for an old man.
Okay, good. I have permission to speak?
Certainly.
Yes, I'm going to start off local in my community. You know, besides a taxi operator, I occupy myself in my community, trying to give back.
Okay.
I initiated the tree planting on what we call the agro strip. I prefer to call it the Afro strip.
Afro strip is a beautiful setting, beautiful, nice.
Yeah. I planted those trees in 2014 and got some pushback from the minister then, Mr. Martin, about the lighting program. I told him I will plant them on the inside so we can coexist. The lights are there and the trees are there.
Okay. He thought the trees would affect the lighting?
Not quite, but he had a concern that I would have planted where they would dig the trenches for
and would be
obstruct.
Okay.
Anyway, himself and I can smile today when we drive up the road.
Definitely.
And people doing their thing.
Thank you for that.
And so, over the time, you know, the trees, moringa trees, and so they're somewhat fragile when it comes to certain wind pressure, so they would break and, you know. As a result, 5 of them was toppled, uprooted, and so there are 5 vacancies. And having to see that persons are patronizing the area and wanting to really maintain that environment, I decided to plant back the 5 trees. I made an attempt, but someone maliciously did something otherwise. Now, I am working with the vendors because I have made agitated for even those, some of the food vendors, provision vendors, to be removed from that environment in the market because even the body heat was, here is it, they're saying about social distance, and then we had so many people in the market. One day
it was a bit congested.
I was not feeling the heat, yes. I was not feeling the heat from the roof, but from persons that close. And I made no qualms about it. And so they saw fit to say, well, have we relocate persons. So I am not against the vendors. Also, I am agitating for the vendors to get battle facility
up there
and water. After all, they're there almost from 8 to 5 sometimes.
I think that's a valid concern.
Yes, to provide that for them. So I am working with the vendors, but some of them does not grasp my concept of the tree planting. And it's a concept I'm not going to forget about. I'm going to maintain that.
But I think it favors them.
I want to appeal to the vendors to please allow me to plant that the 5 trees that are vacant. And you can improvise. Because at the end of the day, the vendors close up shop because they're more like mobile. They come set up shop and they leave. So they cannot adjust, you know what I mean, towards where I would plant the trees. The holes are there. It's just that over the period of time the hurricane shut them down. So that's all I want to say on that.
Okay.
Couple episodes ago, Mrs. Henry, good morning, Mrs. Henry, wanted to weigh in on the issue at hand in Ethiopia and the like, and I was kind of waiting that she would touch on it so I could come in with more evidence that are been unfolding, uh, no more, that hashtag that went viral, and the camaraderie, the coming together of defending Ethiopia. Why Ethiopia? Because Ethiopia is a part of what called the Horn of Africa. And why the Horn of Africa? You can recall a badge or boat that got stuck between not the Panama Canal, but the Suez Canal.
Yes.
And as a result, it affects commerce in a negative way, right?
Globally.
No one is weighing in all of these things as to why those areas are so strategic, and the players are there, like Djibouti. It probably has five military bases. You know the players, okay?
The big guns.
So we're saying that those countries are up for grabs, but you cannot disrespect a country like Ethiopia, and which was a border state that has a 3,000 and 4,000-year-old history. We're not going to accept that. And in fact, they put Mr. Abiy there. They're the one who put Mr. Abiy there when the TPLF, which was the ruling class and ruling the country back then for 30 years, was doing some atrocities to certain ethnicities, including the Oromo people, which Mr. Abiy, the Prime Minister, is from. So the big players are the ones who say who to put and who not to put and who not to put. Right now, the U.S. is like trying to play catch-up, okay? The recent tussles in like Guinea and certain areas, this is the instability in Sudan. It is external. So I'm not, just to say that four of the made-up media, CNN, BBC, yes, BBC, Reuters and AP, the Associated Press, was given letters of warning from the Ethiopian authorities.
Okay.
As towards their what we call the way they do things in terms of the reporting.
Okay. We got about 30 seconds to our next break, so we get home.
Thanks for listening. I'll come back on this matter if, like you say, I was waiting for some response. So we could be on it.
Definitely. Thank you for your contribution. And we're going to take this point into this moment to take the break from our sponsor, okay?
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
and getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
Buster, roll it up, meet the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living full color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life.
Hey, good day once again. At 11:47, you're logged on to WINNFM 98.9. You're listening to another episode of Voices, and yours truly, Socrates in the chair. And we go straight to the phone lines caller. You're live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Yes, the king.
So,
It's Journey again.
I know Johnny.
Now, just to piggyback on something that the second caller that came in right after me says
Okay, go ahead.
about we have to know. I don't want to use the word God And by that, I would say the Creator. Because you see, before they broke us, the King, our spirituality was in harmony with nature and the Creator. You see, what we have to look at today is that the white man gave us something called God. And in this God, it's a God of death. The Creator is of life, and life is in the spirit that he breathed within us. The spirit never dies. The flesh dies, and what they gave us called God. Have you ever spelled God backward?
No, I don't want to go there.
All right. So therefore, I don't use the word God either, because our spirituality was in harmony with nature and the Most High, the giver of life. Because God is not a God, the Creator is not a being of death, it is of life. That's why the spirit never dies. Flesh dies, but the spirit lives on. Now, about the coronavirus, this is a form of death, because they have created it. Why? They know their time is up, and 400 years of slavery. They had us in bondage for 400 years of slavery. And we shall reign again, because Africa did rule the world when our ancestors, generation upon generation, has kept the order that was obtained from the beginning. And that's why it says in the book that in the last days he will gather back his people back to the land of their forefathers to rule 1,000 years. They know this, the king. Why are we sleeping and departing away from our culture, our spirituality? We need to see the word and understand what the word means for our reality.
As you mentioned the coronavirus, I'm going to ask you a question when you finish about the plague that about 100 years ago killed a third of the world population. I want you to respond to that if you can.
Are you talking about the Spanish flu?
Yep, it was labeled Spanish flu, but it killed about a third of the then world population. What are your views on that?
Now, I don't know much about that, the king, but I'll tell you this. Remember, right? Our people, the black race on the continent of Africa, were eating from nature. They were eating the herbs, the fruits, the vegetables. Now, most of those people who perished in the Spanish flu, according to what I know,
Europeans,
they were eating flesh. Now, among other things, I don't know where that originates from.
In the U.S. In the U.S.
Sorry?
In the U.S.
Okay. Now,
it was a military experiment that went awry. It was a military experiment that went awry. But somehow it was labeled the Spanish flu.
Okay. Well, you see, now, let us look at the amount of things, the amount of viruses and the amount of vaccine that they have been experimenting with, and mostly on us. We are still here. They are still here too. But let us fast forward to today with coronavirus. They've been experimenting with death all this time. And they are targeting us because the king, beyond any shadow of a doubt, they have our blueprint at their fingertip, because when they conquer us, they stole a lot from us. And that's why they put in the book that when you come upon their city, break down their groves and their graven images and burn them. They didn't burn our graven images. They have them throughout their museum around the world. And they tell us in the word that you should not worship any other god but me, or any graven images. Then Moses himself created an image with the snake, which saves their life. So you see, they didn't burn our images. Our images are in their museum around the world. Now they're returning them back. They're returning them back today because our ancestors are back, and things will be happening to them. But you see, they have created a virtual world now where they have X-rayed They have x-rayed our images to curate the virtual viewing in their museum today. But mark my word, the king, this virtual world that they have created with our graven images that they are returning today, we're going to see some effects. We're going to see some effects that will be taking place because our ancestors and the Most High is at work on our behalf today. We just need to know who we are and where we stand today in this world, because it cannot continue like this. It cannot continue, the king.
Okay,
If I get back in, I'm going to strengthen the Ethiopia crisis that they have created. Thank you.
Much welcomed. Africa also alluded to Sister Henry, who expressed the intent to respond on an issue that relates to Ethiopia, and he thought she would have done that last week. I know she's quite capable of doing so if she chooses. She may or may not be listening right now, but before the day is done, I would most definitely like to hear from her. In the meantime, let me say good morning. Is there a call on the line? To Chris Collins up there in Sheffield, to her friends in New York, Rosemary. Brenda back in Charlotte. She went to Dubai and all around the globe and sent me pictures. And there are folks who normally logged on, so okay, we have a call online now. We take that caller, 11 voices.
King, sorry to come back to you so quick.
No,
but
man, you got
the
issues.
thing
Let's
is
talk.
that,
Let's talk.
I just figured you had a space, and I said, let me try and utilize it.
Go right ahead, sir.
Concerning Africa, and speaking about Africa, which when my and your ancestors came from, and the way the Rastafari speak about Africa, you will believe that all of us were living in as prince and kings and so on in Africa. And you and I know that there were tribes in Africa, and they had leadership, and they had kings and so on. And they had, wherever you have kings, the kings get the best of everything, and they eat the best of everything.
Yeah, the subjects and all everything who don't really do that well.
Okay. And but most people had to work to supply this kingmanship and so on. So there was not anything easy in Africa, and so maybe there was so much of us that it was a joint venture to get us out of Africa.
A joint venture.
A joint venture between the white man and our own people. And lots of us were sold and were captured. You think a white man could run after a black man in Africa and catch him? They had to be assisted by some black people. Having said that, I like to look towards the day-to-day and our living from whence we came and the direction of which we are going. We have taken the time out and we have voted for our own people. And I don't know if you ever wonder why we scared to go the direction where me and Matley have gone. We're scared because we are scared of our own people. When we elect them and we give them political power, they become our boss. Instead of we tell them what to do and what we want, they tell us what
we're scared
they want.
We're scared of them?
Control us. King, you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And they want to control us. We see back if had we been totally republic and we were using the Caribbean Court of Justice, I can guarantee you that Dr. Douglas would have been still in office. But we had to go to the Privy Council to overturn the system that took place. Most of us, we forget so soon these things. I'm not saying that because of the fact of that would have changed anything much, but it have changed because we could have reached out to the Privy Council who could have made decision other than what we were making among ourselves in the Caribbean. And so therefore, it neutralized that area. And we give powers to another party, give ear to another party that are leading the country now. But at the same time, it appears to me like sometimes when you change the needle, the music still continues the same way. And we have lost the kingship and the control in Africa and sold to the white man. And now we back to slave ship and controlled by our own people.
So then we should have advocated for this today.
And, it's like we're going around in a circle, and it's like the dog keep on biting and going after its tail. Well, we should be consulting each other. You see the words that the gentleman make and the video comes down and take down fence and so on? Mm-hmm. Those words came from a bottom within, the thinking. You cannot stop a man from thinking. You cannot get into a man's thoughts unless he act, unless he say. You would have noticed, I don't know if you ever get on a scene where ambulance go to a scene of a crash. The first person that those ambulance attendants are going to go to is the person who is silent. The one who is making noise, he's going to live. So they check the one who is silent because you don't know, he might be more critical, he might be dying.
Soldier, I miss the time. I've got to cut you. We have to break for the midday newscast. My apologies.
You go do what you got to do. We'll get back to that some other time. But
much appreciated. Much appreciated. Okay.
It's important. Have a good day, King. Thank you.
I'm looking at two different clocks at the same time. That's where I got mixed up. So my apologies. We pause now for the midday newscast.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With the WIN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, Commissioner of Police warns residents to be vigilant over the holiday season. St. Kitts Yacht Club to host 8th Annual St. Kitts Peninsula Swim. Prime Minister Gaston Brown provides mandate changes for vaccination. Internationally, it has been nearly a month since the military seized power in Sudan. dissolving the interim government, and declaring a state of emergency. Now, the details.
Well, at this time of year, we normally see uptake in criminal activity because it's Christmas and it is Carnival and people looking for cash and money to go out and party.
Said Commissioner of Police Hilroy Brandy. The commissioner responded to a question about the likelihood of criminal activity increasing due to the lifting of the nationwide curfew. During the last few months, when the curfew was in effect, a section of the police force was dedicated to patrolling the curfew hours, ensuring that citizens and residents were complying. However, even with the lifting of the curfew, the commissioner foresees the force experiencing added strain.
Well, with the lifting of the curfew, that is put more demand on the police because during different periods of time, you have everybody supposed to be on lockdown, but now everybody are free, so they can be roaming the street at any time they want. So we have to be at the top of our game and have a high visibility to prevent crime, to prevent accident, and to keep our residents safe, especially at this busy time of the year, which is Christmas and Carnival.
The holiday season is one of the most active seasons for criminal activity. The commissioner said the St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is up to the challenge.
But we are up to it, and we have our plan, which I wouldn't outline to you this time, but we will start executing our plan already so we can minimize the amount of break-ins and larcenies and robberies that likely to take place on our street.
The crime statistics for 2020 showed that there were 189 break-ins, 304 larcenies, and 23 robberies in the Federation. Although the commissioner was unable to provide a figure, he reported that robberies were at the lowest in 2021 compared to the last 3 years. The St. Kitts Yacht Club hosts their 8th annual St. Kitts Peninsula Swim on November 28th, starting at 8 a.m.
Next weekend we have a special event called the Peninsula Swim to try and encourage more serious swimming on the island, which is a 1.9-mile swim down the coastline, starting at White House Bay and finishing at Shipwreck on South Friars Bay.
Said the Commodore of the club, Nicholas Dupre, in an interview with WIN. Over 40 participants have signed up for the event, 10 children, 15 kayakers. The Commodore is encouraging the general public to come out and support the club and its participants.
If anybody is a swimmer, wants to get involved, it's a good chance to sort of test yourself on distance and just to have something on the calendar to encourage swimming. It's also a good feeder if you want to do the channel swim. This is a 1.9 mile, the channel is 2.5 miles, so it's a good feeder for that.
Said Dupre. The event also doubles as a chance for the club to raise sponsorships for children who cannot afford the club's weekend sailing and swimming programs held each Saturday afternoon on the Strip at Frigate Bay. Anesta Saddam, a 16-year-old volunteer for the Peninsula Swim and an active member of the Yacht Club's sailing program, spoke about her experience with the club and how her mother encouraged her to go even further.
I've been sailing for about 2 years now. My experience with the Yacht Club is really nice. At first when I went to the Nevis Aquatic Camp to learn how to sail, I had to shake up a little bit because I had a few incidents, but I didn't think I would have come back here, honestly, because I was like, sailing ain't for me. The water ain't for me at all.
Said Saddam, who continued learning after her mother encouraged her to advance further with learning how to sail on her own.
She's like, you want to learn how to sail the fever by yourself, like without any help? I was like, no, you say it. I kind of wanted that. I want to show up some people. So I was like, yeah, let me do that. And then I came back and it was really nice. Nick is a really nice instructor, and the Yacht Club is like a family. You feel welcome, and even if you fail, it's a bit fun and caring and sheltering and stuff. So I really like it here.
In regional news, Prime Minister Gaston Brown provides mandate changes for vaccination. ABS Antigua has the details.
Let me make it abundantly clear that my cabinet is a compassionate cabinet. My government is a compassionate government, and it always be a compassionate government, because at the end of the day, we are people-centered.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown speaking on his weekly radio program on Point FM Saturday. He says the approaching Yuletide season also played a role in Cabinet's decision to ease some COVID-19 vaccine mandates.
We want to make sure that everyone has a check going into Christmas. We want every single person, every family to enjoy a good Christmas. We want to go into 2022 as a harmonious nation with all hands on deck in order to facilitate a strong recovery.
As the country prepares for what the Prime Minister says will be a year of economic revival in 2022, the government will cover COVID-19 testing costs for unvaccinated public sector employees until December 31. Unvaccinated public sector workers are required to provide a negative COVID-19 test twice monthly.
Thereafter, they'll be required to pay for their own testing costs. And one of the reasons why we decided to cover the costs of the tests for public sector workers, I mean, those who are out of work, they may not have the monies to go to a doctor to pay $150 or $200 to get tested.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Brown says the vaccine mandate for eligible students was not intended to be permanent, but it has served this purpose in encouraging vaccination.
There are some, I shouldn't say however, but there are some specific schools, especially public schools, that are below the 80% vaccination threshold to achieve herd immunity. So we have agreed with health officials that measures will be put in place or instituted to get herd immunity in those schools as soon as possible.
He adds the government will also bear the cost of COVID-19 testing for unvaccinated students. Rakib Aparicio reporting for ABS News.
We now bring you these international reports.
A breakthrough in Sudan's political crisis. Nearly a month after a military takeover and the dissolution of the transitional government, on Sunday, military leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and deposed Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok signed an agreement that paved the way for Hamdok to be reinstated.
As I signed this document, I am guided by four basic principles. One, we must put an end to bloodshed. I know our people are capable of sacrificing. However, each drop of blood is precious. Let's put an end to the bloodbath and let's spare each and every drop of blood.
The agreement comes after weeks of negotiations between the two sides, mediated by Sudanese political figures. It calls for the release of political prisoners, including senior officials, who were arrested on October 25th, the day of the takeover, and in the days that followed. The agreement also lays out a plan to expand political participation in the transitional government. General Burhan, who cited political divisions as the reason for his taking power, says the deal will lead to dialogue to end those divisions.
Today, we believe by signing this political document, we are paving the way for a true democratic transitional period, as pictured by ourselves and by the people, and as what you envisaged at the beginning of April 2019. We thank all the Sudanese people and all the efforts and sacrifices made by our fellow Sudanese.
Sudan has been governed by a power-sharing agreement between the military and the political coalition known as the Forces of Freedom and Change since August 2019. But the months leading to the recent military takeover saw tensions between the two sides. Both accused each other of slow economic recovery and lack of judicial reforms. The agreement signed between Hamdok and General Burhan may have reinstated Hamdok as prime minister, but it doesn't mean the end of Sudan's political crisis. Since the takeover nearly a month ago, there have been protests nearly every day, with people demanding an entirely civilian government and an end to the partnership between the military and civilians. Sunday's deal means the military remains as a governing partner, and that has angered many here. Thousands protested near the presidential palace in Khartoum before the signing of the deal. Authorities responded by firing tear gas and live ammunition in the air. At least 40 protesters have been killed since the military took over, and more than 200 injured. The Forces of Freedom and Change, which nominated Hamdok as prime minister back in 2019, has distanced itself from the deal, and analysts say there are questions about how much the military can be trusted.
The last month has been a total fiasco for the military. Why? Because they did what they did, and suddenly they had to do 180 degrees return. That doesn't mean that the prime minister is suddenly the ruler of the land, but what it means is that there is a momentum suddenly not in favor of the generals, but rather in the favor of the street. But as you said, we will see where will this take us, because there are a number of dynamics at play here. There's the military, there's the street, there is the neighbors and the African Union, and there's the international community.
For now, Sudan takes another uncertain step in its transition. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
A full national coronavirus lockdown has come into force in Austria. It's the first country in Europe to announce such a step as COVID cases surge. The Austrian government says it will also make COVID vaccinations mandatory from February, as Bethany Bell reports.
The lockdown will last for just under 3 weeks. It comes after record numbers of new COVID infections in recent days. Last week, Austria introduced a lockdown for the unvaccinated. But cases continued to soar and the government decided to impose even tougher measures.
Meine Damen und Herren, wir alle zusammen.
The Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg said COVID vaccinations will become mandatory as of February. The move is controversial. Thousands of people took to the streets this weekend in protest at the plans for compulsory jabs. Around 2/3 of Austrians are fully vaccinated, one of the lowest rates in Western Europe. Bethany Bell, BBC News, Vienna.
The Belgian capital, Brussels, has become the latest European city to see unrest over tightened COVID restrictions. Tens of thousands of people marched in protest and there were 40 arrests. Well, these disturbances follow protests in a number of European countries, and there was a third night of unrest in some Dutch cities, as Anna Holligan reports.
Another day of unrest, unsettling another European capital. This is Brussels. What began as an organised peaceful march quickly turned nasty. Some protesters threw fireworks at police, others targeted their vehicles. Officers intervened with tear gas and water cannon. Belgium has just brought in new rules in response to a sharp rise in infections. Demonstrators are mainly angry about the use of COVID passes, which stops the unvaccinated from entering venues such as restaurants or bars. Some object to plans to make vaccinations mandatory for health workers.
We know that the virus is there, but we leave it to people to decide whether or not to be vaccinated.
I came to give my opinion about freedom of expression and individual choice, and really to be able to respect everyone's choices.
The Netherlands witnessed the most extreme violence this weekend. Rotterdam was rocked by rioters. Police opened fire, shooting at the crowd with live rounds in response to what they described as a life-threatening situation. Vandals torched bicycles in The Hague. The Justice Minister believes organised criminals may be behind this.
These are not demonstrations. These are attacks on police and firefighters. More than 50 arrests have been made and many more will follow.
These startling demos, happening too in Austria, Croatia and Denmark, reflect rumbling frustrations about the evolving COVID restrictions considered essential to bring down record-high infection rates. And there's more trouble here in the Netherlands. Small groups of people destroying things in the northern city of Groningen, and reports of unrest elsewhere too. It's mostly peaceful now, but the catalyst for this still exists, and many countries are watching and wondering whether this latest disturbing symptom may be coming their way. The World Health Organization has urged governments to redouble their efforts and reinforce the basics.
Average 48% of the European population is wearing a mask indoor. Any percentage above that will have an immediate effect.
With varying vaccine rates, getting the shots in is seen as critical, but they won't cure the distrust or divisions seeping through some European societies. Anna Holligan, BBC News, in The Hague.
You were listening to the WINNFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were: Commissioner of Police warns residents to be vigilant over the holiday season. St. Kitts Yacht Club to host 8th Annual St. Kitts Peninsula Swim. Prime Minister Gaston Brown provides mandate changes for vaccination. Internationally, it has been nearly a month since the military seized power in Sudan, dissolving the interim government and declaring a state of emergency. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribou.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organisation on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Paint it, style it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your rooms, style it. Your home, improve it with huge savings at the Hotsford's Building and Nevis Center's Paint It, Style It, Improve It sales event. Come to Hotsford's Building and Nevis Center now and get savings of 25% off all paints, plus deals and discounts store-wide on home improvement items. Paint it with 25% off all paints. Style it and improve it with other deals and discounts store-wide. It's your home, so paint it, style it, and improve it at the Hotsford's Building and Nevis Center. Paint it, style it, improve it sales event. 25% off all paints and more. Come now, save big, and simply paint it, style it, and improve it. Event starts now and ends December 31st, 2021. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
I want it all. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the second half of Voices. Today, Monday, the 22nd day of November. In about a month's time, Sharon, is going to be my birthday. Imagine that. The year just zipped by so very quickly. We're in December almost. And a lot of folks are not really yet feeling the spirit of Carnival. Maybe it may drop in on the VAT day. What do you think? Maybe on the VAT day? Who knows? Yes, but to our very many listeners and viewers, welcome back to the second half of today's episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, sitting in the hot chair for today. And in the first half, we had calls from Journey, Africa, and they both reference Sister Stephen Henry. So I know at what point she's going to respond on the issue of what's happening in Ethiopia and some other issue that Johnny thought she would respond to. No, it was Africa. Thought she would have addressed last week. So we appreciate the station being used as a debate platform to discuss most things African, cultural, and otherwise. Tomorrow and Wednesday, let's take this call so we'll have it down the mind. Caller, good day, welcome to Voices. We would have missed you. We apologize. Please try again. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to have some big ships in port. The Harmony of the Sea is due on Wednesday. It was a ship destined for elsewhere. And by all accounts, the folks at the Tourism Authority was able to arrest it. And we take this call. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Yes, good afternoon, the King.
Good afternoon, Journey.
So the last caller before the lunch break, or the midday news, it claims that the white man didn't just pick up and take our people. In what I understand him to be saying is that there was a collaboration between the kings and the colonizers.
He suggested that there was a need. There was probably a need for it.
Well, there was no such thing. The king, you see, we are so accustomed to hearing our story told by people who are not of us. And I am getting facts from people on the continent, ancient people who have left the papyrus, and they are in the hands of our people there today. Now, they told us that our king sold us. That's a lie. Among so many other things that they said, it's a lie. Now, the king, I said that before the white man came onto the continent of Africa, our ancestors, generation upon generation, were in harmony with the Most High and nature. I said also, I asked you a question and you said you don't want to go there. Here is what I'm going to say. They have gave us fear, and I've mentioned it before. Fear. False evidence appearing real. That's why most of us, we are quick to say, oh, this is blasphemy. If you touch things that may appear that you shouldn't question, you will be blaspheming. So they have given us fear. False evidence appearing real.
Gotcha.
Our ancestors who were slaughtered, who were broken, and they was caused to convert to what we have today as Christianity. We had spirituality in harmony with nature and the Creator. Now, the book teaches us that no one has seen God face and live. We're seeing God in everything that is alive on this planet. Everything that is alive. Remember, when the children of Israel was making the exodus out of Egypt, and they wanted to set up an altar, what the word said? That if you're going to make an altar of stone, do not lift up any iron against the stone, because if you do, you will pollute the stone. Imagine a stone, and it is said that if you lift up an iron against the stone, you polluted it. everything that is alive, life itself, the king. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those who gave us the word, they have never bring unity to us. They divide us and they brought death to us. Think about this, the king. You, whenever you're in your own spare time and you're in your quiet moment, just analyze it. They have brought death and division to us, and they have us bowing on our knees praying to a God that they gave us in the sky when our ancestors was in harmony with nature and the Creator. I'm gonna spare time for those who want to call in and touch the Ethiopia thing. I really want to touch that as well. But if I get back in before the program closes, I'm going to come with my views on Ethiopia. Thank you for hearing me.
Very much appreciated. Okay, I don't think we have to go all the way to Africa to see what happens when an invading force, if we can call them that, look at what happened to the Kalinagos at Bloody Point. You know, it was a era where it was all about European expansionism. Go forth and conquer and claim land for king, queen, or country. You planted a flag and you claimed the land. And you wiped out the indigenous people. And we told, well, you gave a narrative that they could not respond to because they were not in any position to respond. And so we're learning about the Kalinagos in where we are still guessing as to what happens. We look at the petroglyphs down there at Bloody Point and up Winfield Road, and we're guessing as to what they represent. We're told that they were hunters. The primates came here by what's recorded by the French in 1625 actually. That's when we're told that the French showed up and they brought the monkeys. The British would have brought the deer, the white-tailed deer, for meat, for the purpose of hunting, well, really for meat. The mongoose were brought here by the British, we're told, to address what was then a snake population. So if the Kalinagos were hunters, what did they hunt? You know, a wildlife consists of the white-tailed deer, and that's facing extinction over the southeastern peninsula. The primates, let me pause for a call from the public. Call 11 Voices.
Hey, King.
Sir.
Are you there still?
I'm listening you loud and clear.
All right. The thing is that it's so funny that we got to speak like the way we speak because, you know, we're still selling each other. We're still doing it.
Okay.
Some doing it bigger than some, and some do it better than some, but we're still in selling each other
out. In the business of selling each other out.
For the benefit of each other. What we need to do, we need to take, responsibility for our action. And taking responsibility for our action means that we have to combine our resources together. And we have to take the strength and the weakness of each other into consideration so that we are able to go forward in the same trade of which we are in. So we don't have to go far. And when we sit among each other who work together in the same field, we're supposed to be able to have what you call some good collaboration with each other. If we fail to do so, others will come in and control us.
Quite so.
And having control us, they will do whatever they think is best for us, other than what we know is best for ourselves. If we are trained in something that we are supposed to do, we're supposed to upgrade our skills and make sure that we provide the best service that there is possible to give to our customer of which we serve. Just because our customer might get rowdy and get down in the dirt, don't mean that we must tell them that we are better than James Brown. We must rise above that and
Here's
be professional in the things that we do.
Here's a question for you.
Say it again.
Here's a question for you. If you assembled all the taxi drivers and gave that particular speech, that same speech you just gave, how well do you think it would
Well, the thing is that I must accept one in his own capacity to deliver what he is capable of delivering. Because as much as someone is eloquent in speech and delivering the flamboyant and everything that he knows and he delivers, there is something that he might miss that the guy who is in less ability to deliver might be able to deliver. And so if each one have a measure and a mean of communicating. And so we must be able to accept them for who they are and try to see if we could get them on a better path rather than try to be critical of them. And so I was making the point before we closed that having made this statement openly, you cannot see what someone is thinking. You cannot understand what he's thinking unless he say it, unless he do it. So one must be very cautious. Based on the terms that he says certain things, you could put that aside because you don't have to watch him. You know what he say and you know how he feel. And a lot of people may feel the same way he speak, but they do not say it. And they might think the same way he think along the same line, but they did not say it. So you cannot hold them accountable for their words. No, the one who is silent and quiet, when you get in a field of action, you look at the one. Don't worry about the one who making noise because you know which position he's in. He just making noise. Mm-hmm. But the one that you should keep your eyes on is the one who is quiet. The one who failed to say what he's thinking, what is on his mind, that is the one that you need to watch.
And it keeps you guessing.
And so therefore, say that to say hello?
And it keeps you guessing.
Well, it keeps you guessing and it keeps you on your toes. And so because you don't know and you cannot see what is in his mind, then you will be wondering. But in my mind, it's time we look and prepare and educate ourselves to free our mind. Stop blaming others. Take responsibility for our own action. Use the police as our main source of evidence. If you get in a car accident, let the police come on the scene, let him make decision, let him do what he has to do, because he is one who has no interest between the two cars. And so therefore, whatever we do, we must be thinking and be conscious of others. And King, if I say something to you very disrespectful and bluntly and hurt your feelings, when I get home and I reflect on the conversations that I had and the way that I treat you and the way that I deal with you, I should be able to come to a conclusion and say to myself, you know what? I should have spoken better to King. I should have treated him better because you know what? He was angry and I should have calculated the act much better and choose my words better. Instead of that, I sending you away with your feelings hurt, more angry than you came. And at the same time, I could have done better. But I criticize you for saying what you were saying, and I have not shown anything better than what you did. And that's what most politicians do. They criticize those who are in office, and when they get in office, they do the same thing and even worse. And that's make it bad.
As
so
I was
look,
saying.
so-and-so you did that. Look, so-and-so you did that. What are you doing now? Are you doing something different? Are you doing something better? The whole idea of every politician is to look for the smaller man and bring him up and make sure that he is in a position that he was yesterday. And then he's going to say, look at 100. We look at 500. So share the bread across the water and let everybody get a taste. I think I have said enough and continue with the program. I will continue to listen after you. And no matter how foolish someone may sound, I can learn something from them because every day is a learning process. And that's what we need to do.
That is quite so. That is quite so.
And once we prepare to learn, if you're speaking to someone and he say everything that you say, I know,
Yep.
you better close your mouth because he knows everything. Let him speak. Let him
knows
know
everything.
Because you can't get nowhere with him. Once he knows, you can't teach him anything new.
Even before you finish your sentence, he knows.
He knows.
I know.
What I'm simply saying, we need people who will be understudying people who are in certain positions that they could take over this position. We have the CEO at Port Zante. We have Michael Powell, who is the ambassador. We have Ambassador, whatever his other name was, Osborne. We need people to understudy them. We have people like Petty is a good friend of mine. I like him. But at the same time, people have to understudy these guys to take over.
Have no blood.
Timothy Harris have to get somebody to understudy them so that he could take over so that when we have transition, it's smooth. He should not have a hiccup. He should be able to slide right in like he's greased and take over the system. And we continue in a good pathway and make the necessary changes as we go along. If you notice, the government have moved the vendors off the street. What do you think they're doing? They're trimming the wheel and making sure that they improve and making it better. Because in their mind that it should be better and it should not get worse for the pedestrians and the traffickers alike. They make decisions with an intention to help everyone. That's what it's all about. If you don't help a small person on the street or somewhere, you have done nothing.
If you're not helping, you're hurting.
Only help your friends and those who can afford it, you have done nothing.
If you're not helping, you're hurting.
Who is less fortunate. And I get carried away. I don't want to talk no more. I prefer to do this.
Thank you for your contribution, sir. Thank you for your contribution. Any all call out one moment? Okay. On the topic of the vendors, as we know, they were relocated and they were assigned areas. But I've seen and spoken to one or two who, in moving around town, would have had some issues with the police. I know this one particular person who sells drinks and complained. I didn't try to verify, I'm just saying what the conversation was, that she's being somewhat harassed because having a big bag on your shoulder, walking around. If you pause to sell somebody a drink, she's been told you have to move on because you're vending, but she's mobile, she's moving around, etc. Because if you can't stay also in one area, and I've seen many of them with the little carts or the bags moving around selling their drinks. And one person said to me, I'm not overly worried. As long as I can make my payments and get some food home to feed my son, I'm okay. So it's been a challenge, and people would adopt and, move forward. But it was a long... Okay, let's take this call. A call your live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Shah. How are you?
Don't be short. Just make a point. Go ahead. I'm all right.
What you last caller feel like? What you want to feel like that the government do something good for the vendors? Why you make it sound, sir?
Okay.
They're catching the tail worse than before.
I was just speaking about one vendor.
Like they do something good for the vendors. That's how we want to say. They come back and answer.
Okay. That's my good friend Kaizo Chukai. I was just speaking about the challenge for these particular vendors who have been moving around. They used to be on 4th Street selling little drinks, etc. And they now cannot be stationary. They have to be off the streets. So they're moving around, walking around. And this particular person explains how it's been difficult for her because she's being more or less chased by the police. Example, if you are on 4th Street, Sharon, and she passed by, she offer you a drink, and she stops to sell you because you're now standing, and she's taking from her bags a drink to sell you. I don't think it's fair for her to be chased by the police. There has to be some discretion. She don't have a gear parked there selling. She's moving around, and you have to give them a little... Because it's all about creating employment for themselves. Added to that, they're not putting any stress on the government. They don't need to be employed. They're creating a livelihood for themselves. It has been encouraged and applauded. So having been moved off the street, give the people a chance to make their living. They're moving around. They're not standing and they're not static. And let me tell you something. I admire them. Walking from Port Zante up 4th Street, all over, and quite a few of them are doing it. And there are times when I could afford, I buy from them because I like to support young people in that entrepreneurial attitude. I can't type that word, but you know what I mean. Helping themselves. I don't even know them, but I'm going to support them because it's a good thing to support the small man. Small business is the engine of growth. No matter how small they are, you have to support them. So, vendors, God bless you. Those who are happy with the relocation, as Africa spoke to the Agro Strip, you want to call it Africa Strip, I like driving along there and seeing the many vendors who have set up their operations in a nice, clean, aesthetic way, and they're selling. You don't have that rush because downtown became congested. Now people know where they can find them. You take a drive up, you interact for the different little station, and you buy your stuff. And you can get coconut water and all the different things. So it's a good thing that you can adopt and survive. We pause at this word for a word from our very, very kind sponsors.
It's that time again. Triple Cashback is back, but with more. Triple your cashback with Triple Play. Triple the savings, triple the cashback, and get a chance to win. Triple the cashback for more free groceries at Horsewood Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store today. Yes, for the rest of 2021. Horsewood Furniture and Appliances is tripling your savings with triple cashback coupons for even more free groceries for all FlexPay hire purchase customers. But that's not all. Every hire purchase customer gets a chance to win up to triple their triple triple cashback in free groceries in the Triple Play. The Triple Play game show gives 2 lucky customers a chance to triple their triple cashback for free groceries and win lots and lots of prizes and more. If you get $500 in coupons for free groceries, you get a chance to get up to triple that amount with our Triple Play game show promotion. That means you get $1,500 in coupons for free groceries. And remember, every higher purchase customer gets a chance to win free groceries for a year.
Postman's Triple Cashback Triple Play. Come now. Don't miss it.
And today we're going round and round Chinton Bar. No particular topic, but you're free to call and open up any. And we have a caller as we speak. Caller, welcome to Voices. You're live in the program. Gotta be quicker than that. Another one? Oh, the caller left. So sorry. Caller, please try and get back in because we want to hear from you. Yes, we are just circling the block. Last call. Okay. Caller, you're live on Voices.
The King.
Sir.
Now, my topic pertaining to what is going on in Ethiopia. I'm going to go back as far as when Africa, most people don't like my choice of words, was thrown out. 6 of the UN staff were thrown out of Ethiopia. And the UN, in return, was demanding an explanation as to why they were thrown out. I would rather use a different word, but I'll keep it at that.
Okay.
Now, to my understanding, I think there might be either 17 or 19 other UN staff has been arrested in Ethiopia. Now,
UN staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what is going on, to my understanding, and I always like to say, the King, that to each their own interpretation of how they see and view, whether you want to call it fake news or what is real. Because, you see, we have had the president of Haiti being assassinated recently, and we are aware of certain superpower capabilities, even when we have president come and say that they condemn a killing of an African
public stance
president. Now, they are capable of creating scenarios in order for them to come underground. Today, all the superpowers have their military base on the continent of Africa. That speaks volume because they are not there to protect Africans. Now, here is where I want our people who think that because we are here in our geographic space, what happened to Africa
can happen here.
Shouldn't bother us. The King, you and I work in the tourism industry here. And again, I'm going to repeat what I've been saying all along. Even though we're having ships now, Caribbean tourism is dead in the water. And what depends for that? It depends on what happens in Europe, America, and Canada. I am saying to us that we have human resources, we have raw material. We have had our first African Caribbean summit, and we have listened to Mia Motley's speech that she delivered at the UN and at the climate conference. It is time for us to start to unite, because who divided us have no interest in our unity. They divided us in order for them to survive by exploiting our raw materials. They have built cities from our raw materials. They have created generational wealth from our raw materials. What they gave us in the book about Esau selling his birthright. And this morning earlier, I think someone mentioned about our unity. And let me refer our listeners to the book of Genesis, chapter 11, when they started to divide us at the Babel Tower, when they told us that the God that they created came down to see. And again, I would say, our Creator don't need to come down to see. That's the God that they created. He couldn't see from where he was. He had to come down to see. And they were building the Babel Tower. Now, whether that was a metaphor or it was real, today we have satellites up in the sky where they tell us heaven is. So what's the difference of when they were building the Tower of Babel from earth to heaven, and now they can just shoot up a satellite, and it is still up in the same heaven? So you see, again, they have gave us fear that we cannot spell God backward. Fear the king.
No, I didn't say that you can't. I said I wasn't prepared to go down that road. It wasn't necessary. Making
No.
points.
I'm not directly speaking to you. I'm just talking to our people because I want us to raise our conscious level. The king, I didn't even leave school with a certificate. The coronavirus woke me up. But I've had questions before.
Give you time to research and study?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I am now tapped into my history that was hidden from me. And again, I say, Mrs. Henry, I hope all is well with her, that she was in the education system. Surely she must have known something, and not just she alone. Our school curriculum, we have to throw it out. Our politicians need to separate from the colonial system.
Mindsets.
Because it's not for our unification. It is for death and division. That's what they have given us.
Okay, sir.
Thank you for hearing me.
Appreciate that. I can say that many, many years back, I wrote songs that addressed that very same topic. You know, it was entitled The Unshackled Mind. Speaking about the curriculum and all that. Anyway, it's about voices, so we take this call from the public. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Hi, good afternoon, Socrates.
What you waiting so long for, man?
Well, I got to hear
Africa calling for you, Journey calling for you, and you're just showing up? You're looking blows or what?
You got to listen, you know. You see, unlike him, his God given to my God.
Oh.
My God said be quick to listen, slow to speak.
Okay, 2 ears, 1 mouth.
You understand?
You've been listening.
You got to listen first and then speak.
Well,
my
this
God
is one of the highlights of this
me.
program, hearing you respond to the, you know.
Yeah, man, I love to hear him, you know, because, I mean, as you say, he's on a journey. He's still looking for his God. He's another one looking for God.
He ain't so.
And the Bible says he's not far from us, you know. He's not far from us. He went to the trouble to reveal himself to his son.
Okay.
He said, look, if you see the son, you see the father. And I don't know who give Journey all of these things. They give us, and they give us, and they give us.
I would like to have
everything
a
anybody give you
glass
receive.
of water.
You
I'll be the
receive?
same woman to
Do you receive everything given to you?
No.
Eh?
No.
No. That's why the Bible says, seek and you shall find. If you seek it with a biased mind, and you already make up your mind, like one say, oh, they know we God. I wanted them to know that Haile Selassie appointed himself as the head of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which is a Christian church, eh?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the other day when the coronation and the Rasta Brethren was on, one of them read an article which was very inspiring and instructive. Haile Selassie bypassed the kings and set up the country or state, if you want to call it, of Ethiopia. Because, you know, they have kings and they have tribes and so.
Hierarchies, yeah.
Hierarchy, yes, and he went about that. He chose the bishops. He fired who was there and put in who you want.
Okay, fire and hire?
I don't know which God you're looking for. If Haile Selassie found God, what you're looking for? Haile Selassie knew who God was, you know. And my good friend Johnny, every time is what they do to us. What they do to us in Sudan. What they do to us in Ethiopia.
Well,
and Eritrea and the other one.
They've been waiting for you to make your pronouncements on Ethiopia based on something you said.
No, I am waiting to hear all of those who said they're going back. They want to go home. Now that they are needed, you can't hear no sound out of them.
You mean to assist the situation in Ethiopia?
Eh?
To assist with the situation in Ethiopia.
I listening. I didn't even know that 18 tribes. And I heard the one who tell Journey that they ain't had no tribe. They always have tribe.
They always have tribes.
People have always
80
have tribe.
languages, 80 different languages spoken there.
Yeah, the same article the fellow was reading.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. And it is within people to want to rule themselves. That's what happened a lot in Africa, you know. In nearly every country, some tribe want independence. It is in the people because remember, they're choosing, even though they have democracy, as they say, they still tend to vote along tribal lines. So if your tribe in government, then your tribe get the best of the country.
Okay.
And then the armies, them like to overthrow.
That happens.
And then we turn around and we blame them. So black people ain't gonna sense. That is the point that gets me, you know. It's always them. It's them. It might have been them before, but don't tell me. After 400 years of slavery and how much years of freedom, we ain't learned nothing.
There are still
We haven't learned
mechanisms in
anything.
place to suit certain agendas. Take Russia's and the Chinese agenda right now. You know,
So we
Africa is a weakened place. Is only, this continent don't have any nuclear weapons.
But the point is asked again, haven't we learned anything? We saw what happened in Haiti. We saw what happened in Santo Domingo, in Puerto Rico. And by the way, when you go to school, you know the thing about the people who came?
Yes. The people came before.
How did that nobody ever tell us? And we keep repeating these lies, you know. We keep repeating the lies. Oh, they don't teach us our history. We don't learn. Just like how they teach us Spanish and French. For 2 and 3 years, and we come out and make a sentence.
But the question is where that curriculum was crafted.
We don't pay attention. We only see the relevance when it is needed. That's the problem. So we all excited over Africa. Africa there all the time, you know. And Africa will be there until Jesus come back.
Well, it's
and
refreshing
whether
to
you
see
and
young
this thing
people
about
taking up the
African
mantle.
gods. Take up your Bible, read the book of Acts. You talk about the Jews came on the day of Pentecost. They actually came to celebrate a Jewish thing. You talk about the Jews from all over the place. Christianity was there before the white man brought it. I don't know where we get this story from. Christianity was in Africa.
Long before.
You understand? So they got this thing, and the white man, they impose themselves. They do a lot of wrong, you know. And that is the thing about Christianity. You got to talk the truth. A lot of those who came and brought did a lot of wrong.
Atrocities.
You know? So that they make, that's what you call the Bible talk about. It's people like those make other people blaspheme.
In the name of. We must say that. In the name of.
But if you really pick up that Bible and read, you see a whole different story. And the God of death, Mr. Man, the very first Genesis 1:1 saying, in the beginning God created. Created what? Everything. And in John 1, it says, by him all things were created. That's the Son. So I don't know where you get this thing about. And the death, the God of death. The God of death is the devil. John 10:10 says, the thief, which is Satan, come to rob, kill, and destroy. That is the God of death who we're promoting. He said, I am come that you may have life, and life more abundantly.
See, I remember later.
Sometimes when what happened, we read a lot of these agnostic, atheistic, pretending to be black nationalists, some of them pretending to be black Pan-Africanist with a white wife. You know what I mean? What it, you know, the whole my song said, they're talking black and eating. Here we go. You know about song, man?
Which one that years ago?
They're talking black and they're sleeping white.
Yeah. I wonder who corn you're stepping on today, huh?
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The talk don't match. And they're trying to create animosity among the races. I mean, it don't make no sense. What we need to do is to build our own self-esteem. We need to build our own self-esteem, work on ourselves, and take the concentration of the people. We have a country to build, you know. And the thing about Caribbean tourism dead in the water, you're crazy. If it's dead, it ain't dead in America. It's dead here.
Yeah.
They are as dependent on us as we are on them. You know Socrates, right?
No. I want you
to... You've got to find some way to take the people.
Okay. In that context, yes.
Yes.
That is true.
They're not going to sell tours up and down the coast of New York and down Atlanta.
You have to find a destination.
The demand for the Caribbean is there.
It's great. It's great. Very great.
The investment that has been made, not our investment, you know. So the people who invest the money going to see that they get profit from it.
Well, Pier 2 is mainly local investments. And I'm happy for that. Pier 2 is mainly local investments.
But when we're talking our kind of investment that we'll be talking about, you know, we go and plan something. Hello. The standard of living that we have achieved presently, it will take a revolution, like a communist revolution, where they put the gun to the people's head and say, this is what it's going to be. Our economy has been absorbed, if you want to put it, into the North American upscale thing. And no amount of imagining or dreaming going to make people go back. They're not going back. What we have to do is to educate our people to a higher level. Where we get the network people, the scientists, that's what we got to head, you know.
Those in technology.
Technologies and so. While we do have the tourism. So the thing about the fellow was just talking about tourism dead in the water. Well, honey, you see the boats coming back? You know how many boats were sold? The cruise ship people have an interest. It's investment you're talking. You know, so I love Africa just like anybody else. But when you sit back and you don't talk about, what CNN say, you could get news directly from the countries involved. You know that, right?
Of course.
On the internet, you don't got to depend on CNN and Fox and NBC and NBC. You can go to the direct country. You see what's going on in there. We're pretending. And they force us into unity. They want us to unite. We black people in the Caribbean have sought to be united way before CARICOM. You know that? Before the Federation, too.
I know about the Federation. That was 63?
Even before that.
All right.
So that there's a desire among us to unite. But we forget. We don't want to look at what we have.
Are you talking about Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement?
Eh?
Are you referring to Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement?
Back to Africa?
Marcus Garvey.
When Marcus Garvey said that, the Africans want to be coming to colonize them. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah. You see that big thing down in Liberia?
When Lamumba was killed?
I don't know who was killed when they had this big uprising. Because they said that these black people who come from America want to take over the country.
I'll have to update myself on that.
Huh?
I'll have to.
Man. I'm sure it was by the 90s or the 2000s. They had big things like civil war in Liberia.
That's recent.
So remember that he was some of them went back.
Oh yes. There's a lot of folks went to Africa I'm not sure exactly where.
Yeah, and they
and they were
settled in
simulating,
Liberia.
yes.
And the Liberians say, "Bye, hello. Well, your sons are slaves."
If I tell you, Sharon laughing her head off over here, something else, right?
Yeah, the Africans say, "Bye, look," because what happened, because they were exposed to the Western culture and whatnot. Well, as I tell these people who say they're going to Africa, if you all think you are going to settle in the people's city, then put you all in the bush. You say where Selassie put them?
Listen me? I got to pause from a word.
Selassie put them in the bush.
In the bush?
Because he know them, he know we don't settle for nothing. So we go into the city and we're going to run the country.
Run things.
Anyway, when Johnny Johnny want to go to Africa. No, serious. But Johnny must get a true picture of Africa and stop blaming them for what we are doing to ourselves.
Okay.
Stop blaming them. What they did was wrong, and we're not stupid. But we're supposed to be wise enough to avoid it and do better.
Okay.
And start in St. Christopher and Nevis. Right now is a good time to try and get some unity. Journey, the Labour Party wants some unity.
Sister Henry,
and the unity wants some unity.
I've got to take a pause right now. We have to hear from the sponsors. I want to thank you, though, for that contribution. And I know Africa is not too happy because he wanted you to expound more on Ethiopia. But our next, perhaps next call, because we have to give homage to our sponsors, okay?
Drop everything and come now to Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessory Center for their big Drop Everything sales event for the rest of 2021. Go to Hosford's Auto Accessories and Parts Center, where they'll be dropping 30% off select accessories, 20% off car batteries. But the rubber really hits the road with this deal. 20% off all tires, or get one tire free with a purchase of 4 tires. Buy 4 tires, get 1 free from now until the end of 2021. So drop everything and come now to Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Drop Everything sales event. Now dropping 30% off select accessories, 20% off batteries and tires. Or buy 4 tires, get 1 tire free. Drop everything and go now to Hosford's Auto Accessories and Parts Center.
We are the best.
The Federation's favorite auto parts and accessories store.
We're back with the program Voices, and we're going to go straight to the phone lines to take this call. Call your live on Voices. Hello there. Hello, caller. You're live on Voices. They're not there. Good caller. You're live on the program.
The King.
So.
It's really great to hear Mrs. Henry, and her energy makes me laugh.
She says when you're going to Africa, she's going with you. What do you say about that?
Yeah, man, I'm happy. Tell her I want to say to Mrs. Henry that it is the will of the Creator that we be gathered back into the land of our forefathers.
Oh, that the same Creator?
Yes, and well, she said something rather profound earlier, where she said that the devil is the god of death. Now let us look at this. Who is killing us? Who is killing us today? Because I say earlier that God did not have, well, let me rephrase that. The Most High didn't have to come down to see when they were building the Tower of Babel, because he's everywhere. He's in everything that is of life. Now, Mrs. Henry said that the devil is the god of death, who is killing us. And let us pause for a minute, because, yes, we have blacks killing black today. But why is it must we think that our story began 2,000 years ago when the king?
I'm listening.
Last week I read something about, and I asked a question before I begin to read. With your permission, are we idolizing whiteness? And in the middle of that paragraph, I said, let me hasten to add that the most who have assimilated among us are the educated and the Christians. And I did say I'm saying to you, Mrs. Henry, that when I read that last week, I said the problem is not Christianity, but rather the Christians, because we have misappropriated the Ten Commandments. You remember that, the King?
I do recall that, yes.
Okay. So, we now here thinking, well, Christianity and our spirituality began 2,000 years ago. Now, I'm going to go back to the Babel Tower. There was tribes, different tribes there then, but they all spoke one language. And what the book said, Genesis chapter 11, it says that God came down, and when he saw that the people were one, different tribes were one, with one language, confounded their language and scattered them.
Because
this is them telling us how scatters us.
They want to building a tower all the way to heaven. Is that that's the story?
Well, listen, whether it was a metaphor or it happened, again, we have, if they thought to go to heaven that way, they are the ones who told us that heaven is in the sky. And yes, when I said they, because we think that Christianity begins 2,000 years ago, I have to say they because they gave us this book with what they have copied from the original, who were our people before they came. Yes, Mrs. Henry, we were before them. And Mrs. Henry disagreed with me about Lord Macaulay broke us from our spirituality. Now, Christianity might have been in that because our spirituality was in harmony with nature and the Creator. So I said, those who have assimilated to what was given to us in the book are the Christian and the educated. It is playing out in front of us today. In our leaders, in the doctors, in the lawyers, they have assigned to a script that was given to them by the colonizers when those who get the education in Harvard, in all those universities in the West, you cannot deviate from what we're giving you here. You have to uphold it because we're giving you the system to govern.
A westernized education, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So I want Mrs. Henry said something. God of death is the devil. Now what has been spilled over onto us that we are killing ourselves today? We were not like this. And again, I'm going to finish now, the King. They gave us Christianity. We had spirituality. Spirituality is internal. I shall not steal. I shall not kill. They gave us Christianity by saying, thou shalt not. You see the difference?
Yes.
Internal
I think I had a
is
document sent to
spirituality.
me some time ago.
Sorry?
I had that document sent to me. I have a copy at home.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
I say I have a copy of that document at home. The I shall versus thou shall.
Yes. And, you know, Rascolongis mentioned some time ago, maybe on a different station, that I was to explain the Immaculate Conception as well. But remember, because we have a version, what we have in JC, Jesus Christ, and the Joseph and Mary came from Osar, Oset, and Ayesu. So they have transposed our story and gave us JC, Jesus Christ, with Joseph and Mary. Everything that they have from us in the King James Version was taken from our history.
Okay.
And when I get time again, the King, I'm going to explain the story about Joseph and Potiphar, because we were interpreters of dreams before Joseph. So, Miss Henry, brace yourself for this, okay?
But wasn't Joseph... Okay. Okay. Between Miss Henry and thing, we probably get education converted one way or the other. Little by the by, last week I was interacting with an American tourist, and for some reason he thought he would, try to chat me up. talking about he have lots of black friends. Start with that, and start to tell me I am well spoken. Simply because he started to talk some things about their president. Now, taxi operators are advised not to get into political discussion with the guests. At some point in the past, they pulled me up because somebody said something, I had to put him in the place. So he proceeded to tell me about they will have WINNMedia in the U.S. And they will have Biden's not the president. So therefore, I ain't taking him on with that. But something global came up and I started to expound on it. He asked, where you get the news from? I said, but you said you only watch one media outlet.
Listen, it always boggles my mind that people think we only, or we don't know because we're living in this part of the world, or that we don't pay attention, or we don't. I say that to say this. I think the individual only watches Fox. I will say that out loud because I think that's probably why he said what he said.
And sometimes it's the first time they traveled. And sometimes they'll tell you that where they live is the best place in the world to live. How do you know? You've never traveled to any other place. So it's a narrative they live home with, and they feel that we are backwards. And when you articulate to them, they want to know where you went to school. So you deal with them at that level. But he started out, they only have one president. The one they have is old and senile, he's not the president. And he only have one media that listen to it. And I could tell him, oh, you listen to Fox.
Of course, it's only Fox. I mean, of all the other, it's like Miss Henry was saying earlier. I mean, people say, oh, CNN and BBC, but there's so many other outlets. You don't have to. Al Jazeera, especially. So when callers say, oh, you watch CNN, it's like, no, I don't.
And a taxi driver want to come on the air and express his issues. And then I say, but I was on last week, didn't hear it. No, I don't listen to radio. Hello? What are you telling me? You want to come on the radio and express your issues. I asked you, did you listen to last week's program, which you dealt with those same issues, and you're saying that you don't listen to radio. So this guy trying to tell me how he got some black friends and this and that, and I'm thinking, here we go again. But they're out there. So
I'm surprised, though, that there's actually something in place saying that taxi drivers should not engage in any political talk with.
No. Locally.
Oh, locally.
They're
Okay.
saying that you back talk your country and you this and that. Sometimes these people come informed. And they try to pick him out. A few years ago, we had all that negative thing I'm saying, because they try to pick him out, and you have to answer diplomatically. But they went and told, so could you back talking and got you in, and I put him in the place. Where were you when I used to drive over that hill there from Frigate Bay to come to Bastille, down the Ben Francis Drive, when there wasn't a proper road? Promoting sakes, blah, blah. Where were you when I was doing it? How dare you tell me I must see what the government doing now and sell that? You don't know your place. So I don't engage in them. But it was a certain question, and we have to diplomatically steer the narrative. So he opened up with his Biden is not the president, he's old and senile. I only listen one thing. So when I responded to one, where you got it from? Hey, I listen Global News. So Johnny listens and he reads, he's researching. I am very happy with that. He may not have all the answers and may not...
Really? But anyway, sorry, continue. We have another call, so let's take it.
Call A Live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good afternoon, Socrates.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Something bothering me. Because somehow I believe we allow Sylvie and Johnny to take up too much time.
Okay, pause there.
But what I want to say
pause there. When they're speaking, I inquire from the engineer if there are any other calls on the line. If there are, then we get them off. If there are no calls, rather than have that space, then go ahead. If you're trying to get in, you can't get in. We're sorry, but we always check if there are other calls on the line, then we let them know there are other calls coming in, and then we get them off. So go ahead now.
Okay. For example, right, modern day Israel. Some people don't seem to be understanding, right? For how much years Moses traveled in the wilderness from Egypt? How is it Egypt and Israel still have land border? They say the Israelis cross the Red Sea. If you cross a sea, you could never got no land border. No way you could got land border. So there and then within what they're telling us is a lot of stupidness, a lot of nonsense.
So Moses was in the wilderness for like 40 years?
Hello?
Moses was in the wilderness for like 40 years, is that it?
Something like that, and they crossed
and then across the Red Sea?
Because remember the sea part this sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Pharaoh was after them and he part this sea, and when after the cross, the two had to come back together, and the Egyptians were drowned. So then how is it that Israel and Egypt still have land border?
So hear this. The Egyptians were black. We accept that?
The Africans, the Africans said they must be black.
And they had the Israelites in bondage.
Yep.
Are the Israelites black?
But when you say to right? If you now compare the Israelis that are set up today, they got blue eye.
I'm not talking about those from 1947. I'm not talking about those who established this new Israel state as of 1947.
After the Second World War.
Right.
And how they did create Israel. They went and they took Palestinians out of their houses and put them to live in refugee tents.
There was a war.
No.
There was a war.
Listen
there
to
was
me. Listen to me. It's Europe. You talk, the Israelis managed to capture more lands with the 7-Day War.
The 7-Day War. Yes.
That's what created the 7-Day War, is when they take the Palestinians out of the houses.
I mean the settlements.
That's what created the 7-Day War, you know.
Out of the settlements and took the land?
Yeah,
they gained that land in 1947.
The Palestinians and the Israelis got contention up to today.
Mm-hmm.
The Western world and America, who created Israel?
Yeah, because the UN, they recognize Israel as a state and denies to this day the Palestinian state.
And I'm going to tell you something else, you know. Just after the same Second World War, you know, he had three things. He had a placard with 3 signs in England. No blacks, no dogs, no Jews.
No Jews, yes.
So the main understanding why the Second World War was created, because they wasn't recognizing the Jews after the war was completed. Why then so much blood was shed?
Hitler's campaign was only checked because he attacked England. They knew, Eisenhower, Prince Philip, all them knew the eugenics program that Hitler was implementing to wipe out the so-called Jews. They know it was happening.
He was trying to create that kind of race.
Trying to create the Aryan race.
Perfect. You have to be perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. He kind of putting them in a kind of stage. If you meet that stage, they're going to eliminate you.
The Americans knew what was happening and closer turned their eyes until he started attacking them. That's when they shut down Hitler. But the question I asked you...
Let me ask this other question, right? How is it, right? Every 25th of December, we refer to it as Christmas Day.
Traditions.
How is it we does not have a specific day for Good Friday?
For me, when I went to school...
But you understand what I'm speaking of?
We have an next call on the line.
How is it again up in the same Middle East? It's only Israel, the so-called place that they call Israel, have nuclear weapons. But always place up in the Middle East, they're preventing them from getting nuclear weapons.
Okay, listen offline. We have to take this call. This call on the line. Okay?
Hello?
We have a next call on the line, so work with me.
Respect.
Caller, thanks for holding. You're live on Voices. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices. Okay, we may have missed a caller, and I'm sorry for cutting off. But he makes some points. But the question I asked him, if the Egyptians were black, what color were the Jews? Because, okay, caller, you're live on Voices. Got a caller? Are you there? Say again. Okay, we may have missed that caller also. We got about let me look at my clock, because that one is telling me something different. You got about 8 minutes before close of play today. And the last caller raised a few questions about Moses, the wilderness, the Red Sea, and that's so the question about the Egyptians. black. Okay, caller 11 Voices.
Yeah, man, greeting you again. You know, in the name of His Majesty.
Respect.
Yeah, man, the Israelites, them are black people, African people. If you look down enough Ethiopia, you got the fallacious Jews, you know.
I'm glad for your call at this point in time because we were discussing the Egyptian being black and the Israelites being black, so talk to us.
Yeah, all of them are black people. It's African people, you know. The whole thing is about African I redemption. That's what I'm saying is that, but today I is the Jew. I Rasta is Israelite. The chosen from among I people who put forward and keep in remembrance of I people mind the name of the Almighty, which is Rastafari. Because that's what we come forward to make I people know, you know. Dear God and King. You understand? That's the only black people don't get pant up again, you know. Is to know the God and King, is to know the self. You understand? And is Rastafari is the God. Right?
Are we now accepting that that there were Africans enslaving Africans? Right? We accepting that?
Africans enslaving Africans?
Yeah.
In terms of the Egyptian and the Israelites?
Yes.
In the Bible?
Yes.
Yeah, but you see, that's a story, you know. You gotta look into the reality of the thing, see?
Okay.
We're looking at the spiritual side of the thing. We gotta look at the truth side of it, which is the manifestation of it. Okay, for example, a lot of things written in the Bible, we say within symbolic form, within a spiritual way, right?
Okay.
How we unfold in history, in reality, that's the truth thereof.
So it was just symbolic slavery?
Huh?
Was it then a symbolic slavery?
Yeah, man, everything can be a symbol. Okay, for example, we say conquering the tribe of Judah, but that is a symbol also.
Okay.
You understand?
But the Atlantic slave trade was real.
The slave trade where they bring you out here?
Yeah, the Atlantic slave trade, yeah.
Well, we see that because it's written in the Bible down in Deuteronomy, you know what I mean?
Okay.
We shall be taken, he said, you shall be taken to Egypt again. In ships, where you know from Egypt to Israel, Palestine, is a land border we cross over walking. I thought you don't need a ship to do that, right? So why then the Bible going to say in Deuteronomy, you shall be taken into slavery again, this time in ships, which we're referring to this time when he said we're going to be chastised for this 400 years, but after that time I are going to be free. Okay. So I'm saying the 400 years up in 2019, and now we're free. Right? But we have to take with freedom. We're not taking with freedom. We still want to continue the man rule over you. Right? Rastafari, you own yourself, you know. Look at all the Rastaman, them. They own themselves. It's people who own themselves. You understand?
2034.
Of God, you own yourself.
2034.
Huh?
In 2034, that's what, 13 years from now?
2034?
In 2034.
In the future?
Yes. It will mark 200 years. It will be the 200th anniversary since the emancipation of slavery. 1834, we are told, throughout the British colonies, we had emancipation. So 2034 will mark 200 years since emancipation.
What is the significance of that?
I'm asking you, what would it represent for you 200 years after slavery? At the 200th anniversary of slavery, 200th anniversary, what would what would you like to see happen by then? 200 years after emancipation.
I would love to see, and I know I said it as Rasta people, you know what I mean? The African race of people. And look forward unto I God and King, which is His Majesty, you know? Who couldn't set forward the blueprint for I progress. You know, a full development. It's there already. His Majesty don't talk all of these things. I sure he's not new under the sun. But we ignorant of His Majesty because we don't take time out to study His Majesty. You know what I mean? We have to know about Haile Selassie.
We're looking at 13 years from now. 13 years from now, we should be celebrating the 200th anniversary since the emancipation of slavery.
Should be, but I'm saying we 100 and something, what is it? And we know we're not that yet, you know what I mean? So I'm saying, only we mind these things existing, you know, because physically they take out the shackles and the chains, you know. But mental-wise, you know, we still behave that way. You know what I mean?
So the education has to be part of our way forward. A lot of people are unaware.
The way forward is Rastafari. That is the way forward. Right? Like I showed you already one time, the Rasta is what connects us back to nature, you know. Is we coming forward into ourselves, right? We are peculiar people,
2 minutes before we
are
wrap
magical
things up.
people, African people, you know.
We
have to get within ourselves, you know. We're not getting within ourselves. We still want the things them out of Rome, right? And the man tell you all them things they don't go from us, right? All them things, all them delicious things that we enjoy from Rome. Because we gotta look to the one thing, you know what I mean? Time come, we gotta look to it. And as long as we continue eating out of Rome, they can keep us enslaved.
Russ?
In some way, you know what I mean? Whether economic or some way they can keep us.
The Lion, we got about 2 minutes before we wrap things up, so I want to thank you for your contribution. I have a question to pose.
Them, you know?
I love engaging with you, but we're looking at 13 years from now, we'll mark the 20th anniversary of the emancipation of slavery, and I want you to speak to that, like what you want it to look like when the time comes. King, our co-host, was about to say something about having the answer. Would like to know what she was about to say. You know, okay. I think it came from Journey. He's asking what you were about to say, but I guess that's lost in moment as we 29 minutes down after the 1 o'clock hour, and we normally close at 1:30. I want to thank all the folks who made this show today possible, our sponsors, our callers, those who listened, those who viewed, those who try to get in and did not. Hopefully Wednesday I'll be here. Hopefully, because as I say, the ship started rolling in town, so I don't know as yet. I'm going to inform management, as I'm sure, but in the meantime, stay safe. Just stay safe, okay? And God bless.